I think we don't realize that all of the things we do in communal spaces, whether we're going eating and drinking with friends, whether we're going to a temple or a religious ceremony, whether we're going to watch sport, that we're involved in a ritual, communal activity where we sing together, we talk together, we exchange and eat together. And in a sense, the purpose of architecture is to frame those activities, to find a way of putting those activities within a context. So I'm Níall McLaughlin, I'm an architect based in London, and our interpretation of free space relates to what we call halls, places where people and communities come and congregate together. So we're interested in churches, temples, village halls, places for sport, places for eating and drinking. So behind me on the table, we have 6 different halls. One of them is a church, one of them is a restaurant, one is a lecture theatre for university. We have a hall for a rugby club for their trophies and medals and for their get-togethers and reunions. We have a little place for musical performance. The idea is that, as you can see, people are turning the table behind me. And when you turn the table, there's a great big tall column just to my right-hand side, which has got an array of lights on it. And by turning the table, you make the lights shine at different angles onto the buildings, and those represent the angle of the sun on a particular day. I looked at the famous astronomical devices in Jaipur, and they are fixed, but they cast the shadow of the sun. And I thought, oh, if you can do it that way, you could also do the inverse. You could make something which moves, and which makes the sun appear to move through the sky. So it's the exact same principle, but just thought about in a different way. So on the outer rim of the table, the calendar which I'm leaning against is a whole year. So it's got 365 divisions, and you can go and find any day of the year. And then on the bands around the calendar, we have the social life of all of the 6 buildings. So for example, in the chapel, we have the religious services that are held every day in the chapel, the timetable for those religious services. In the lecture theatre, we have all of the lectures that are on in the university course. And in the music building, we have the performances. And the final piece on the perimeter is a little piece that shows the phases of the moon. So you can see on any particular day in 2018 what phase of the moon you're in, and what you would be able to have for lunch in the fish restaurant, and what rugby you could watch or what religious services you could go to. For me, the most interesting ones are the ones where a building goes beyond its own private needs or the private needs of the person who commissioned that building and offers something generously back to the whole of society. There's a lot of privatization of space. There are places that are semi-public or private that people can't go into that are often the most beautiful bits of cities. But the best cities have public spaces which are open to everybody. And to me, that's the core of free space, the idea that the purpose of society is to create spaces which anybody can use at any time.